You step out onto your gravel driveway in the morning, and there they are. Green tufts creeping up through every crack, every joint, every gap in the stone. You just cleared them out 2 weeks ago. Today, they have returned. By next week, they will be ankle high. And if you don't step in, by the end of the summer, they will swallow the entire path. The fence line behind the shed is even worse. Brambles, 2 vines, and sprawling weeds are choked into the chain link. Every single root needs to be decisively dealt with before your property looks like an abandoned lot. This video is for you, easy, honest, highly effective, and entirely natural weed control tips. People will tell you that you can kill weeds permanently, but there is no method that keeps weeds from ever coming back. You cannot permanently stop nature, because seeds will blow in on the wind every spring, and flocks of birds will bring them from neighboring fields. But we can control them so effectively that they are no longer a burden, but merely a chore. When you have small, annual weeds creeping through paver joints, flower bed edging, or shallow cracks on a gravel driveway, you need something that acts immediately on the foliage. Method 1. High-strength vinegar and soap. Standard culinary white vinegar in your kitchen contains only 5% acetic acid. That level is completely insufficiently strong to handle a healthily rooted weed. What you need to kill weeds professionally is horticultural vinegar, with an acetic acid concentration of 20% to 30%. Every leaf is coated in a lipid-based wax called a cuticle. This cuticle acts as a waterproof barrier, retaining moisture inside the plant cells, allowing it to survive under the harsh sun. Pure acetic acid at concentrations of 20% or higher is highly corrosive to biological tissue. Upon contact with the leaf, it rapidly dissolves and breaches that waxy shield. Stripped of its protective armor, the internal moisture of the plant is exposed to the environment. On a hot, sunny day, the sun will rapidly suck the water out of the damaged plant tissues. The plant dehydrates at a catastrophic rate, and the entire foliage will burn to a crisp in just a few hours. The formula: 1 gallon of 20% to 30% horticultural vinegar, 2 tablespoons of standard dish soap. Dish soap is a core scientific addition. It acts as a surfactant. Water has high surface tension, meaning liquids tend to beat up and roll right off those waxy leaves. The soap will break that surface tension, allowing the superacidic vinegar solution to evenly coat the entire leaf surface in a clinging film, rather than dripping down into the dirt. Pour this mixture into a clean garden sprayer. Apply only on a hot, bone-dry day with no rain forecast for at least 24 hours. Spray directly onto the weeds, soaking the leaves until they are drenched in the solution. Within 1 hour, you will see the leaves start to curl. In 4 hours, they will turn brown. By the next morning, they will be crispy, crumbled, and completely dead. The practical limitation of this method is that it only burns the surface. It cannot always travel deep down to eradicate the taproot. Small weeds will die completely, but larger, deep-rooted perennial weeds like dandelions or crabgrass will have their tops burned off, then slowly try to regrow using the residual energy down in their roots. For these types, you simply respray every time a new green shoot emerges, starving the root system of photosynthesis until they exhaust their energy and give up. Method 2. Boiling water. The biological mechanism here is cellular lysis. Plant cells are essentially microscopic balloons filled with water and cytoplasm, wrapped in a rigid cell wall. When you subject those cells to the sudden, extreme heat of boiling water, the liquid inside the plant cells expands instantly. This overly rapid expansion blows the cell walls apart from the inside out. Simultaneously, the extreme heat denatures the plant's protein structures. You are literally boiling the plant alive. The vegetation will shift from a sturdy green to a dark, mushy mass in just 1 hour, because the water also seeps down into the topsoil. It boils the root crown as well, making this method particularly effective for shallow-rooted weeds. The execution: put a kettle on the stove and bring it to a rolling boil. Carefully carry it outside and pour the boiling water very slowly, directly onto the root crown of the weeds. drenching the entire base. Right after you finish watching this video, I want you to go into the kitchen, boil a kettle, and step out onto your steps or porch. Pour it directly onto those obnoxious green tufts peeking out of the cracks. You will see its devastation before the sun sets today. Listen to me carefully. Boiling water causes immediate and incredibly severe third-degree burns to human skin. You must treat a boiling kettle with absolute caution. Method 3. The vinegar and salt matrix. We return to the horticultural vinegar formula, but we will add an element that fundamentally alters the nature of the soil: salt. The formula: 1 gallon of 20% to 30% horticultural vinegar, 2 tablespoons of dish soap, 1 full cup of table salt or rock salt. Vigorously stir this mixture until every single grain of salt is completely dissolved in the acidic solution. Salt is a brutal desiccant. It alters the osmotic pressure of the soil. Normally, water flows from damp dirt into the plant roots. When you introduce a heavy concentration of salt into the soil, you create a hypertonic environment. The dirt becomes so salty that the physical laws of osmosis reverse. The salt violently pulls moisture back out of the plant tissues and prevents any future seeds from absorbing water to germinate. Unlike vinegar, which will biodegrade over time, salt is forever. It stays in the earth. A single heavy drenching can keep a driveway crack completely barren of life for months. And repeated seasonal applications can turn a patch of land into an absolute wasteland for an entire year. But salt permanently poisons the earth. It does not sit still where you pour it. Heavy rains will dissolve the salt and wash it downhill. Melting snow will carry it into the groundwater. If you spray a high-concentration salt solution on a sloped gravel driveway, the groundwater flow will carry the salt and can completely destroy a flower bed or lawn sitting at the bottom of the grade. I have seen someone sprinkle salt along a chain-link fence, only to watch a magnificent 70-year-old oak tree 40 feet away turn yellow and slowly die, because the dissolved salt traveled through the groundwater and was pulled up by the tree's deep root system. Use this method only on flat ground, surrounded by concrete or deep gravel, and in areas where you never, ever want to replant anything. Once you have salted the earth, it will forever remain salted earth. Method 4. The propane torch. This is the ultimate upgrade for large-scale, chemical-free vegetation clearing. A handheld propane torch, connected via a long reinforced hose to a standard 20-pound propane tank, equipped with an adjustable flame wand. This tool is not a flamethrower meant to incinerate plants into ash. That is a common and extremely dangerous misconception. The goal here is thermal shock. You walk at a slow, steady pace, gliding the intense flame over the weeds for just a fraction of a second. The ambient temperature at the nozzle tip reaches nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. When that heat hits the weed, it instantly vaporizes the water inside the leaf tissue. You will see the leaf color shift slightly, turning to a darker, duller green. That means the cells have ruptured. You leave the plant physically intact, but completely destroyed biologically. It will wilt within minutes and die entirely after 2 days. This method is unbelievably efficient. A long, weed-choked fence line that would normally cost you an entire afternoon of bending over and pulling until your back aches can now be cleared completely bare just by walking the torch down the line for 20 minutes. This is the most dangerous tool on this list if used carelessly. You must wear leather work boots, heavy denim or canvas pants, thick leather work gloves, and safety glasses. Always check your local fire codes and municipal burn bans during the dry summer months. Absolutely. Under any circumstances. Do not ignite the torch without an active garden hose turned on or a large bucket of water sitting immediately within reach. Never use a torch near dry wood chips, dead leaves, pine straw, or dry organic mulch. A stray ember can bury itself deep inside a pile of wood chips. It won't burst into flames immediately. Instead, it will smolder underground, quietly burning through the organic matter for hours, long after you've turned off the tank and gone inside to rest. That smoldering heat can erupt into a massive surface fire. After you finish torching an area, Wait 20 minutes and walk that exact same path again. Look closely for tiny wisps of white smoke or the smell of burning wood. If there is any doubt, lightly mist the entire area with water to lock it down. Used with ironclad discipline, the propane torch is the cleanest, fastest, and most satisfying weed-clearing tool a homeowner can own. Method 5. Cardboard and mulch smothering. When you are facing a massive and intimidating patch of invasive perennial weeds, maybe an area you want to reclaim for a clean vegetable garden next spring, no surface spray or passing flame will solve the problem. Deeply entrenched roots will just keep pushing up new shoots. You have to do one thing: systematically isolate the root system from solar energy for a long period of time. We accomplish this through a technique called sheet mulching or smothering. First, use a lawnmower or string trimmer to scalp the existing weeds right down to the bare dirt. Leave the chopped organic matter exactly where it falls. Next, lay down a thick, dense barrier of plain brown cardboard or overlapping layers of black and white newspaper. It must be thick, at least 6 layers of newspaper, and every edge must overlap the next by at least 4 inches, so no weed can snake its way through the gaps. Immediately, soak the newspaper layer heavily with a hose. The water adds weight, molding the paper perfectly to the contours of the ground, and kickstarts the biodegradation process. Finally, cover that entire barrier with 3 to 4 inches of heavy organic mulch wood chips, clean straw, or shredded fall leaves. Here is the slow, beautiful biological process happening beneath the surface. The thick paper and mulch completely block the sun's photons from hitting the dirt. Photosynthesis is absolutely suspended. Aggressive perennial weeds will burn through all their stored root energy, trying to push pale, weak shoots upward, only to hit a dark, impenetrable wall. Eventually, the root system exhausts its carbohydrate reserves and dies completely. Meanwhile, beneath that dark, moist blanket, the soil's microbial ecosystem explodes with life. Earthworms are drawn to the decaying cardboard and damp mulch. They will tunnel through hardpan, aerating the soil, while fungal networks break down the organic matter above. Over the course of 4 to 6 months, the paper barrier will completely dissolve. By the time next spring arrives, that massive weed patch is gone, leaving you with dark, friable, highly fertile topsoil that is ready for planting. Look at the comprehensive system we've built today. You now possess a highly strategic toolkit to handle any vegetative challenge your property throws at you. For small annual weeds creeping into flower beds and paver joints, deploy the rapid, precision burn down of horticultural vinegar and soap to instantly execute isolated weed tufts on the driveway. Harness the thermodynamic power of boiling water straight from the stove. For sprawling gravel paths and industrial fence lines that demand absolute barrenness, mix the permanent desiccant power of vinegar and salt. For stretches of fence line that need fast, clean clearing, bring the thermal shock of the propane torch to deeply ecologically reclaim overgrown patches of land. Rely on the patient, soil-building power of cardboard and mulch smothering. Every single one of these methods is rooted in proven science, ecological understanding, and historical practice. They require an understanding of how nature operates, and a willingness to work with those natural laws, rather than blindly fighting against them. When you walk your property this week, I want you to assess your land through a new lens. Identify the exact nature of the weed problem you are facing. Select the proper method to solve it, and execute that method with absolute precision and care.